Uganda Extra.
A few minutes past the top of the hour, that is 9 a.m. What a lovely morning. Thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV. The weather so far is very friendly, so in case you're coming to Kampala, well, maybe you could carry something to keep you warm, but I'm not seeing any signs of rain. But remember, in the Pearl of Africa, like Winston Churchill said when he arrived in this wonderful country, saying that weather can change anytime, 2 seasons, so anything can happen in the Pearl of Africa regarding the weather. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono. Thank you so much once again for being with us. But a quick reminder, we are always here from 6:30. And what do we do? Ensure you're well versed with what is happening locally, internationally, but also spicing up your morning. So make it a date with us with an extension, which is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Now, last week we celebrated, that is Friday, the International Day of the Girl Child. And looking at our recently released National Housing and Population Census, Uganda, 53% of our population are women. 53% are women. And looking at reports that came in, many were showing how, despite a number of efforts that have been made by our government to uplift the girl child, still there are so many challenges the girl child is finding, most of violation of her rights. Cases of defilement, cases of rape, poverty as well. You know, in our cultures, women don't own property. It is of now that some are breaking through the egg and owning property, or they don't own factors of production. So much was said as we were celebrating this day. But joining me today, I have the Public Relations Officer, Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Joshua Chalimpa, with whom we are going to be discussing the plight of the girl child, women, and how best can we empower them economically. Because when you empower a woman economically, she has the ability first to make right decisions because she can live on her own. 2, because she holds factors of production and wealth, she has the capacity to also better improve the welfare of what comes out of her, the children. I know you've heard this. Many women, their rights are violated, and they'll tell you, I'm seated in this torture, in this human rights violation because of my children. She's battered, she reports at police. She's the same person that comes pleading to release the man. What are we going to eat? Who is going to pay food for the food? Who is going to pay school fees? All that. Now, join me, welcome my guest this morning. Joshua, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Comrade Chirabo, and the management of UBC for always according us the opportunity to talk to the nation about issues that matter. And in this case, the issue of women, the issue of the girl child is very important. And thank you.
Now, to begin with, Joshua, when we talk about the girl child in Uganda, the first thing one looks at is the violation of her rights, more so now when it comes to sexual abuses. And we know Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development looks at a person in all aspects. Now, one of the outstanding challenges every time police releases their annual crime report is cases of defilement, cases of rape, increasing, and yet sometimes evidence to prosecute these criminals becomes a problem.
Comrade Chirabo, before we even go there, I have some good news. The good news is that Uganda is in conformity with a number of international instruments as related to the issue of the girl child and the issue of women empowerment in general. Just last week, as you rightly mentioned, we were commemorating the International Day of the Girl Child, a day which was proclaimed by the UN General Assembly in 2011 to declare the 11th of October of every year as the day to celebrate the day of the International Day of the Girl Child. We had a number of activities around that. We are thankful to the fact that we have a number of partners on the side of government, and that these partners are really partnering with the willing government, because the laws of this country affirm the right of the girl child. We are one of the very first countries to prohibit by law some of the harmful cultural practices such as the FGM and many of those. We also are one of the very countries to really implement programs such as the universal primary education, which gives free education to children in general, but to the girl child in particular. We also have a number of policies, even at the higher level, for example, at the university level, where a point is added to a girl, recognizing that the girls go through a number of challenges in our society. The culture ties them down to a number of roles, looking after the brothers, cooking, doing a number of things. And now also, because of our society, the boys seem to be highly regarded. If there is not enough money, it is likely that the family will ask the girl to sit as the boy goes to school. And so we are cognizant of that fact, and we are happy that the government has put in place a number of policies to ensure that the rights of girls are respected, and also that the girl child is empowered. And they are not stopping at the girl. Even when they transition into womanhood, the number of programs to support women, recognizing the number of challenges they go through. Because even at that level, you will find that, for example, the women do not have access to Korato situated. Therefore, they cannot have access to funding to start projects or businesses of their choice, and therefore they are tied down because of the lack of Korato. Government recognizes that. It is the reason why you have programs like the Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program. You have programs like the Youth Livelihood Program, and also programs such as the PDM, the Parish Development Model, have been engendered in such a way that there is a specific percentage that goes to women. To be exact, 30% of the allocation to a parish would go to women. This is because government recognizes that if you put money in a basket without those safeguards, you will find that the women can be left out, because after all they live in a patriarchal system which probably will not regard the women, even at that level. So there are a number of protection measures that are being put in place by government, and the women have not been disappointing. Because once those policies are put in place, you will see that that is what has been exactly lacking. When they are given access to capital, their enterprises flourish. This is not to say that the women have arrived. No, there are still challenges that the women face.
Actually, that's what I wanted to tell you, that Joshua, when you look at the NRM government since 1986, when His Excellency and a few took power, one of the things they prioritized was the girl child and women. We've seen politically various positions have been ring-fenced for women. For example, district members of parliament. Even if you're a man and you have all the capacity, you can't be a woman member of parliament for a district. That is totally a women's thing. When we go to right from LC1s, there's always a slot for women at all elective levels. And there's no segregation as long as a woman has the ability. Even you can lead a constituency, you have many of them. Now, with these also that coming in of financial assistance, in the education sector still you will see, what are those challenges that are still keeping the girl child and women in Uganda bogged down despite the so much initiatives being put in place?
First of all, you know that the women have been through a system that dominated over them for several years.
Centuries.
Several centuries. And to change that requires time, requires a lot of advocacy. You have cultural practices which are deeply entrenched within society that you need time. And of course, the Ministry of Gender with other partners are trying to reach out. We talk to the institutions, and also the good news is that the cultural institutions fall under the Ministry of Gender. We engage with the cultural leaders to ensure that these practices really change. Now, this is not to talk to only the men, because we know that because of that domineering over years, even the women have to change to appreciate that we are moving to a different level. Because you will see it, that take for example now the women make their own money, they build the property as women. What if a woman has a boy child and a girl child, and she has property? What is the probability that she will hand over that property to the girl, to her daughter, if she passes on? You find that because they have been living under domination, it is likely that even a woman will beseech their property to a boy, because they have been living under a system that recognizes or that believes that men should be in control. Now, we are not trying to change things, society, because you find that the men can fight back. Because they may think that they are losing position which they have been holding over time. We are only talking about issues of equity and issues of equality, such that everybody can have space, because there is a lot of space for everybody to flourish, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man. And women, of course, are taking up the space. The challenge now is the withdrawal of men in some circumstances, whereby, for example, if a woman pays school fees and the husband retreats because a woman has been empowered, such that now the businesses of women they have started remain stunted. For example, say a woman who has been selling bananas or matoke for that matter, maybe had the capital that gives her 20 batches of matoke, but the business remains at that level. They cannot grow to start bring a lorry of matoke, because the men have absconded on their responsibility and left it all to the women, which stifles the growth of their businesses. So there is a lot that we are working on. The ministry has developed a male engagement strategy, whereby as we talk to the women, as we talk to the girl child, the men are not left behind. They participate in the whole process, such that everybody is a winner.
Now, when you talk about involving the men, our viewer, we are still looking at empowering our girl child, the women, economically, because rightly said, when you look at one of the bottlenecks still holding them down is the fact that they are not economically empowered. They have made strides in the education sector, and I was looking at the PLE results for the concluded year. Now the senior fours are starting their exams today. And for the first time, we had girls outnumber boys in terms of numbers. And I was very happy, because when you look at our statistics, you see that women are more than the boys. 53% in the just concluded census are women in this country. Now, in education, yes, we have made a breakthrough. In politics, one would say still they are striving, there has been a breakthrough. But money, economic empowerment, still remains the challenge. And you rightly said that there have been some cultural beliefs, there need to be mindset change. But how are we going to carry out this whole issue called mindset change? I think it's something of that we have fronting so much on every program, mindset change, but it remains anonymous. Mindset change, are you going to organize people in conferences? Because I believe mindset change should be gradual. So I don't know, Joshua, when you talk about we now have a program also to target the men, how? Because it's really very important.
First of all, to say that emancipation, for example, is a journey and not a destination. We keep struggling, we keep advocating because a number of issues keep coming up. In 1995, world leaders, governments, the civil society, and many other stakeholders converged in Beijing and came up with a landmark document called the Beijing Platform of Action. In that document, it talked about a number of issues, some of which we have alluded to. It talked about the issue of political participation, whereby now women should not be left out in political decision making. There has been progress on that. You already talked about the members of parliament. You talked about the district councils where there's a representation from women, a number of those. They talked about issues of health, maternal health, for example. The number of women who die when they are producing, and those things. There was a lot of progress on that. And at a certain point, the country realizes that there is one aspect which was lagging behind, and yet it was very key and crucial for attainment of the others. And that is the issue of the economic empowerment. Women economic empowerment. It's one of those that came up in the Beijing Platform of Action. So now that government realizes that, it is the reason you see a number of interventions in that area, because you find that, for example, political participation. How come that because the district representation for a member of parliament does not stop a woman from going for a constituency? How come that many of the women will not take the risk to go to a constituency? If you look at the parliament of Uganda, the composition of parliament, the directly elected women members of parliament in a constituency
very few
are countable. They are not even 10. It means that now, at this level, if you say that the district representation was transitional and it is scrapped, if you scrapped it today, it means that women will fall back to the position they were before this policy came into being. So one of the reasons why women may not excel much is also to do with the economic empowerment. First of all, to even think of standing as a member of parliament or councillor, you need to be empowered. You need to have money. You need to, there are a number of things that you have to have in place which are not which are not present. So these ones therefore require a number of interventions. Of course, I agree with you, mindset change is one of them, because there are also women who have been empowered, even with the money that we are talking about, and will not dare go to a directly elected constituency. There are a number of things that we have to do that relate to mindset, not only for the women themselves, for the men, us, the men, and the community where we live, to understand why the women should be empowered.
Very interesting discussion here, women empowerment, and we are looking at economic empowerment. Now, I want us to look at some of the programs under the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, because believe you me, much as some of these have been very pronounced, one of the issues I've identified with government programs, you still find someone who doesn't know a particular program that can save them from their situation or how to enroll on this program. When we talk about the PDM, it's one of the programs that have been highly publicized. But you can still find someone who will tell you, I don't understand that very much. Now, under Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, let's tackle one by one and see if these resonate and of course the desired change, or is still work in the progress.
Thank you very much. I want to thank government, the president, and the Minister of Finance for making available the resources that we need for running of these programs. There are a number of programs in the ministry. Some of them are programs specifically for women, but even those that are not particularly for women, still women can access them across government. The specific program for women are two in the ministry. You have the Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program. This is a program which can be accessed by women from 18 to 79. The access to the program is at the level of the sub-county, where you have a community development or community development officer. That's the entry point. You go and express interest. Their forms are available, and you can access up to 12.5 million Uganda shillings. As a group now, or you an individual? Can access as a group. And we also, in the program guidelines were revised. Initially, you needed to have a group of 10 to 15. Now, that was revised. You need to have a group from 5 people. If you can bring together 5 other women, come up with a project, you can be funded under the program. This is a revolving fund where government puts in money, and also government cabinet allowed the Ministry of Gender to revolve funds which have been recovered. And recoveries have been very good because women really pay back. They pay back the money, and once they pay back, we can give to other women to benefit. There is the Youth Livelihood Program. Yes. The Youth Livelihood Program, whereas it targets all youth, but the one who talked about the census, you will find that the majority of the youth are actually girls or women. And these can benefit from the program. Still, the guidelines are not so much different from the guidelines of UWEP that I talked about. And these ones are targeting startups. People who need small monies, you need 2 million, 5 million, 10 million to start up an enterprise of your choice. And we are aware that many youth, many women have already graduated, having benefited from the first tranche under UWEP or YRP. So we are looking at now these other women who have started an enterprise and would want to expand it. That is how government now, through the Ministry of Gender and with the support from the World Bank, came up with another project called GROW. Now GROW can make available money to women to expand enterprises. It's not targeting the startups. You should have started and you are somewhere. For example, you could be making OD, having received the startup capital from UWEP. Now you have OD, but now you want to expand the production line, you want to improve the packaging, you want to export the OD from beyond your local area in your market to be in a supermarket. You want to get a UNBSC such that your products are tested and accepted. That's the kind of funding now you can get from GROW. So it is building from the experience of other programs now to have products that can hit the local and international markets. So another opportunity for women provided for under the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development.
Now, these programs you've talked about, you've given us the right age that they target. But one of the things I always ask myself, when I listen to how much government pumps in these programs per financial year, and you move around and try to look for the people that have been empowered. I know if not lack of much publicity about the success stories, or because most of the times you ask yourself, if, for example, you hear that this financial year government has injected this amount of billions in this amount, and we are expected to ensure that what is injected is in tandem with the output. But sometimes, Joshua, I don't know, success stories become something to hunt for. They're not readily to come by. What is the problem?
Of course, there are a number of success stories. You said they're not readily available, and that is because we are not looking out for them. I want to admit that there is a weakness in that area in terms of documenting the successes of such programs. Every time I move up country, I see a number of success stories, stories that have not been told. And that is also about a structural issue. One is that in the implementation of the program, there was so much emphasis put on disbursing money for the women. The government didn't want wastage at the top, at the secretariat. So they put a saying and said that of the money that we are releasing to you, only 20% can be used for other administrative purposes, such as salaries, such as fuel, such as monitoring. And most of these government, most of the donor projects, that ratio is between 30% to 40%. Now for government, they said, no, this is money for women. You should give the money, don't waste the money at the top. Now that one, of course, has implication. The implication is that you may not have enough resources to go back now to the ground to document the success stories. Whereas an NGO will probably do less, will have enough at their disposal to make documentaries, to make magazines. For us, we don't have much at our disposal. But we are trying to do what we can under the circumstances. By capturing some of these success stories, which we share on TV. We're also happy for the support of institutions like UBC for giving us an opportunity to speak. And we'll try as much as possible to capture the success stories, which are so many, for the benefit of our viewers.
Then also, let's look at people's ability to tap into these programs, because opportunity comes to those who are prepared, but also the ability of knowing, because when you move out there, I've come to notice that a number of government programs that would be beneficiaries are not aware of them, or they have heard of them, but they do not know. For example, now GROW. If you do a rough survey around even the suburbs of Kampala, where you see potential beneficiaries, you'll find that many do not know about GLOW. We had the youth livelihood, at least for that has been there for some time. But you will find a youth and they will tell you, for us, we earn for just some little capital to add in our business. Tell them and make a group of 5. There is this, there is that. In addition to that, usually there are complaints that there's either bureaucracy or some requirements that make it so hard. Now, these are targeted to empower women economically.
Yes, it is still follows what I talked about earlier, that we need to go out much more often than we have been doing. we need to cultivate partnerships with the different media outlets to ensure that this information is disseminated to the beneficiaries. Of course, we try. We run campaigns in the media houses whereby we tell the people what is going on, and we have been trying that. However, we need to intensify these campaigns such that people are made to be aware. We are also, of course, cognizant of the fact that if you over-publicize, you create a lot of demand, and we are aware of the resource limitations. Even at this stage, with the publicity which you saying is not that big, the demand for the program is so high so that the resource envelope that we have cannot satisfy them. Now, if we over-publicize, we're going to create a crisis which we cannot fill. We hope that with increased funding from government, we will be able to do the publicity that is commensurate with the kind of resources that we have, such that now, once people respond, we are able to satisfy them. We don't want to disillusion Ugandans.
Well, I must go for a very short break. Just be reminded of that, and I'll be returning shortly, and we'll be still looking at how best can we empower the girl child, the women in this country economically. We'll return.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby,
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Made in Mbale, the ultimate trade show and expo 2024. Join us for an exciting showcase of Made in Uganda industrial products, proudly presented by Honorable Minister Evelyn Anite and Chairman Tiang Tangru Paul Zhang. The trade show will be held at Mbale Industrial Park on 18th and 19th October 2024. Come and experience the best of Ugandan industry, all products from Mbale Industrial Park. Entrance is absolutely free. The chief guest, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, with other guest speakers including the Vice President, Her Excellency Jessica Lupo, the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Robin Nabanja, the Minister of Finance, Honorable Matia Kasaija. The Mbale Industrial Trade Show and Expo by Uganda, Build Uganda, powered by the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development.
At Uganda Development Bank, we are committed to empowering communities by supporting projects that unlock excellent economic benefits for Ugandans through job creation, tax contribution, output value, and foreign exchange. We seek partnerships with projects that drive economic development in Uganda.
Wana tudiringa mu mwanyi kulime mwanyi famu ya feno eri ku bugazi bwa hika 125 mwanyi za za myaka ebiri kati wetwatanira okusimba wetwatandikira twatandika ne hika 10.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Thank you for being with us, and you're still watching Good Morning Uganda Extra. Today we choose to focus on economic empowerment of women and the girl child. How best can we ensure that this girl child of our country has the financial muscles, either educated or not educated? Of course, we are cognizant of the fact that a number of strides have been made in various aspects. And now the biggest change that remains is not saying others we've arrived, but is economic empowerment. When a woman is empowered, she has the right to make a number of decisions, including childbirth, child education, and so much. But also, it enables her to guard against a number of forms of human rights abuse. Not to stay in a place where she's being violated day in, day out, because she can't sustain herself. You've had many women saying, I'm in this marriage because of my children. I'll endure the beating, I'll endure everything, but at the end of the day, when they're grown up, I'll survive this. Unfortunately, some have not made it to see the children that they endured everything for, and they have gone through the battering and losing their lives. Now, with me, I'm with Joshua Chalimpa. This is a spokesperson of Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, with whom we've been discussing a number of government programs aimed at uplifting the earnings of women in this country. Now, Joshua, you talked of mindset change, and you said you want to focus more on the man. How do we bring this man to understand that when a woman is financially stable or independent, it doesn't mean that your power as a man, or doesn't mean that you're less of a man? That when a woman sets up businesses, when she owns property, it doesn't mean that she's leaving your home, and therefore someone else has enabled her to get to that level. If you've not that, well, she went to school, or she's been doing her business very well. Let's look at this male flock.
Yes, we have come from far. I remember those early years when women ventured into export and import trade. The first women who would go to Dubai,
yes,
who would go to China to buy things, and how society looked at them. And many of them, people would just dismiss them for lack of better word, they would say, Bamalai. Because you are able to go and do business in Dubai. Now, we have moved past that, because now you have many women around Chikubu, around the country, doing foreign trade. They travel, they go and import things, and society has accepted that. Of course, like I was saying, we've not arrived. Still, there are many stereotypes that we have in society, and we have to do our job to keep educating them every day. Now, let me talk to the local woman who is starting business, because we have to talk to that woman. You'll see a woman probably selling fish in a bucket every morning, and they are looking at the market as the village where they are. Again, because of the responsibilities they have at home, because they cannot move far from the home, because they are children. They cannot go very far, because when children come back from school, they have to find food on the table. Now, some of those are the issues we are looking at. The other one is the issue of quality. When people are looking at doing business, we have to know that we are producing for a bigger market beyond your village. That's why the issue of standards come in. That's why we are working with the Uganda National Bureau of Standards to ensure that most of these enterprises first are produced in hygienic work conditions, environments, whereby their products are safe and clean for everybody to consume. And once the women now expand their scope of knowledge, understanding of business, such that they can produce for the bigger market and not their small locality of the community, then you're likely to have many more women investors, the kinds of cheers, the light, because those ones also started small. They have been able to expand. We can have many of the shares from the crop of women entrepreneurs that we are providing resources with. The problem, like I said, is that many of them don't believe in themselves, don't even imagine that they can start small and grow big. That's where the mindset comes in. It is the responsibility of you, me, to ensure that we expand that. Now, on the part of the men, of course, also we have to talk to the women to understand that having money doesn't take away your responsibility of being a mother or being a wife, because we've also had cases of people saying, that's what we hear in the communities, some men believe that once a woman gets money, the marriage breaks. Probably that is not the reason. Probably they have been stomaching a lot during the times when they were poor, and once they get money, they know that they can fend for themselves. So it is a kind of training that we have to give to ensure that, one, women behave when they have the money, but also to know that the men also to understand that once a woman has money, it benefits all, because she has something to put on the table. She can support in the school fees, but we also have to make sure that men understand that once a woman has money, it is not a license for you to abscond from your responsibility.
So a number of men abscond.
So there is a, because if a man knows that you have money, there have cases of men who have broken these piggy banks of women and stolen the money. Once they know that they have money, they abscond, or they stop buying sugar, salt at home, such that now the business of women collapse. Now, once we have done the sensitization across the country, and we are doing that at the level of the district, we will go to the communities to talk about those issues and the issues of the girl child in general, to ensure that we have a rightful society.
Rightful society where women are very empowered. Well, time seems to be moving very quick, and of course we know we must leave room for more broadcasting in terms of programming here to continue. But Joshua, as we move out of the studios, let me just have your parting remarks first to the girl child who's been watching us, to that woman struggling, yet there are government programs that can be of aid to her, and also finally to the men when you talk about women empowerment economically.
I think, first of all, to the girl out there, to the parents, it is better to prevent a situation than coming in at a later stage, because what we are providing now is kind of some remedy to a problem that has been existing. The starting point should be empowering the girl at the right age. How do we empower them? One, to ensure that we don't expose the girls to the harmful cultural practices that exist, issues of FGM, which would expose them to challenges in future, but also providing them with the education. Because once the girl has got the education, it means they are able to be gainfully employed. Once they are employed, they have resources for themselves, for the family, and for the children they will bear, such that now you don't have the problems that we're talking about. The issues of lack of capital are related to the first one. Women, girls who were denied education, because the society at that time gave preference to the boy. Sometimes the boys can be a disappointment. The family looked up to the boy. They stopped the girl from going to school to save money to pay for the boy, and the boy becomes a drunkard or drug addict, and the money goes to waste when the girl was ignored. So there are a number of interventions that we have to undertake as a government. We are happy that we have a winning government. We are happy that there are policies in place. The UPE I talked about, the USE, now even at skills level, the number of programs where girls are given skills. Please take up those opportunities as girls. And for those who did not get those opportunities, it's not late, because there are opportunities also for women who did not have access to those opportunities. We believe that with that all in place, we'll have a society that is fair for everybody, where everybody can have opportunities to grow. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Joshua Chalimpa, spokesperson, Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development. Educate a girl, educate a nation. Empower the girl, because we must break this cycle that keeps on disturbing us. A woman who gives birth, when she's not empowered economically and educated, there's so much likelihood that even the children may suffer the same. To the men out there, let's support women in all aspects of life. And let's also understand that having an empowered woman is not a crime, but it helps you to sail through life easily. Let's empower them, let's support them, let's stand by them, and let's ensure that every woman's rights are respected. Let's erode the funny culture, practices, and religious practices that keep hindering the women from fulfilling their potential. Have a lovely day. May the good Lord bless you. See you tomorrow, God willing, for God and my country.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
At Uganda Development Bank, we are committed to empowering communities by supporting projects that unlock excellent economic benefits for Ugandans through job creation, tax contribution, output value, and foreign exchange. We seek partnerships with projects that drive economic development in Uganda.
Wana tudiringa mu mwanyi, kulime mwanyi. Famu ya feni, eri ku bugazi bwa hika 15. Mwanyi za feza myaka 2 kati. Wetwata na kusimba. Wetwata andikira. Twatandika ne hika 10. Wetwata hika 10 twakolanga pilot project. Hakata aho esente zali ntono nga bwo chimanyi wano mu Uganda. Kati nasalawo okutukira UDB. Kati bwatukira UDB newe tebaba babi sente bakola ki bazi tuweereza. Kati ne tutandika guno mu mukola ki gwe mulaba. Kati mu kutandika guno mu mulaba tuguze mu bingi kwangu laba tuli ku drip system. Then kanu katwakata Israeli eleze sente ezimu ezagulu okuva Israeli. Then nokutuyamba mu bakozi okusema the reservoir nezino control rooms zinagola bagwe generator wateba jona yaba jona mu UDB. Wano ngaba libona abalone mu Uganda. Waliwo abesobola balima abatesobola. Batokire UDB. Banga fe etuyambye netwa buli kimu okutwaliza wamu mu UDB tufunyemu.
A woman's journey is not just the places she's been, but the different people she's become. It's the evolution of her identity. If you're a female creative, a writer, a passionate actress, a producer, a director, or working in the film industry, this is your tribe. Join us for the Women in Film Symposium 2024 on October 26th at Skies Hotel Nakuru under the theme Skilling Women in Film for Equality, Sustainability and Advocacy. Don't miss live performances, cocktails, awards, workshops, networking, panel discussions, and so much more. Gates open at 4 p.m. The fee is 50,000 Uganda shillings, payable via Momo Pay Code 713362 or call 0786 312 218. Sponsored by
In the heart of Uganda, a financial revolution is happening. We were once left out, saving the old-fashioned way, with an unexpected saving spot, keeping it too close for comfort. But now, we found a better way to save and manage money. Download Download the Wendy app from Google Play or App Store or dial *229#. With Wendy, your money is safe and you can earn interest daily. Visit your Google Play or App Store or dial *229# to register. Wendy Wanawoli.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.